In this video, you will learn how to solve quadratic equations by applying the Null factor law. A quadratic equation has the standard form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, where a, b, and c are real numbers, but a is different from 0. Meaning, a, b, and c can take any real number value with the exception that a is equal to 0. The solutions of quadratic equations are the values of x for which the left-hand side is equal to 0, satisfying the equation. These values are called roots. In order to apply the Null factor law to solve quadratic equations, the quadratic equation needs to be in its factorized form. So, you should be able to factorize quadratic equation by expressing them as a product of its factors. For example, the quadratic equation 2x squared plus 7x plus 5 is equal to 0 can be factorized to 2x plus 5 into x plus 1. In the previous video, we learned how to factorize quadratic expressions of the form 2x squared plus 7x plus 5. If you haven't watched the video yet, the link will be in the video's description. The Null factor law states that when the product of two or more numbers is 0, then at least one of them must be 0. That is, if a times b is equal to 0, then a is 0 or b is 0. Examples: solve for x in the following. X plus 1 into 2x minus 4 is equal to 0. Note that we are finding x such that the product of x plus 1 and 2x minus 4 is 0. So we can apply the Null factor law. Applying the Null factor law, we have x plus 1 is equal to 0 or 2x minus 4 is equal to 0. This leads to two linear equations which we need to solve. Again, in the previous video, we learned how to solve linear equations. The link will be in the video's description. Subtracting 1 from both sides of the first equation, we have x is equal to -1. Now, adding 4 to both sides of the second equation gives 2x is equal to 4. Finally, dividing both sides by 2 yields x is equal to 2. Now, let's verify this result by substituting these values of x into the equation. For x is equal to -1, we have -1 plus 1 into -2 minus 4, which gives 0 since the first bracket simplifies to 0. For x is equal to 2, we have 2 plus 1 into 4 minus 4, which equally gives 0 since the second bracket boils down to 0. Hence, these values of x are satisfied. Next, 2x squared is equal to 5x. How do we solve for x in this equation? You may be tempted to divide both sides by x, but remember that we are not allowed to cancel out a common variable in the equation, unless we are certain that the factors cannot be 0. Instead, we bring all terms to one side of the equation, the left-hand side more preferably, by subtracting 5x from both sides of the equation. This gives 2x squared minus 5x is equal to 0. Factorizing x, we get x into 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. Applying the Null factor law, we have x is equal to 0 or 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. Now, adding 5 to both sides, followed by dividing both sides by 2, we obtain x is equal to 5 divided by 2. This equation can equally be verified in the same way as above. You can do that. What about 2x plus 1 divided by x is equal to 3x? With this equation, we eliminate the denominator by multiplying both sides by x. Rearranging and bringing all terms to the left-hand side, we have 3x squared minus 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. Factorizing gives x minus 1 into 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. Apply the Null factor law and solving gives x is equal to 1 or x is equal to -1/3. Top tips: always factorize a quadratic equation, writing it as a product of its factors before applying the Null factor law. Remember to avoid cancelling out the common variables, that is, 2x squared divided by x is equal to 5x divided by x is not permitted. A times b is equal to 1 does not imply that either A is 1 or B is 1. Verify your result to be confident with your answers. Now, review your understanding with the following. Pause the video and resume to verify your answers. Solving this correctly, you will have the following result. Not all quadratic equations have simple factors, so not all quadratic equations can be factorized easily. Example, x squared minus 6x plus 4 is equal to 0 don't have simple factors. How then can we solve for x? In the next video, you will learn how to solve such equations. Stay tuned and thanks for watching.